I'm Randee with Realigned by Randee. In today's exercise sequence, it's all about the head position. And this particular sequence is taken from the book Pain Free by Egoscue. And it happens to be the TMJ sequence. And that's really just any symptoms that are happening in your jaw in this region, clicking, popping, pain. But this menu can still work for different people if some of your symptoms are being caused from your having a forward head, which many of us in today's world have a forward head. So now I'm going to go over the equipment you need in order to do this class. So you need a yoga block or a pillow, could be like a couch pillow or a bed pillow you fold in half, not too big. And then it is going to use sort of rolls. These are nice rolls that work for posture therapy, but I'm going to show you how to modify. These are kind of squishy and made out of foam. But if you use hand towels, this is 2 hand towels together, and I'm rolling them up. Now, sometimes that's going to make too big of a roll. So if that's the case, you just roll one up. Depends on the size and the fluff of your towels and your body, but you can roll one up and then you put it a little bit, and now you can make it a little bit bigger if you need to, or you just use one roll. So we're putting one under our neck and one in our low back area. Again, all the instructions in the class. The other thing is a chair. In the book, he uses one of these big giant foam blocks. This could be a couch or an ottoman that you're going to use because you're going to have your knees up there and put your hands on the floor. Enjoy this menu. So today, what I decided to do was, in this book, Pain Free, which is one of the original books, maybe it's the second book by Pete Egoscue and the Egoscue method. And so there's a menu in here that's based on sort of TMJ or jaw symptoms. But the key to it is it's really about the head position. And in today's world, I feel like we are very much all having forward head. You know, there isn't a client that I see that doesn't have some, even just a little bit of forward head. If not, most people have a lot of forward head issues. So I thought it'd be really cool. The first portion of class is going to go through the sequence related to the TMJ and the forward head. So that is where, equipment wise, we are going to do something where you put towel rolls behind your neck and your low back. A couple things in doing my class, just to be clear, is absolutely no pain with any exercise. If you have pain, then it's not the right exercise for you. That means you need to skip it or change it. And so I just want to remind you guys that shoulder blade squeezes, whether it's sitting or standing, or even sort of lying down, we do some shoulder blade squeezes. Those are great substitutes. Knee pillow squeezes is another substitute that can be done in your standing, sitting, lying down with your knees bent, if you're feeling like something we're doing is not working for you. So as we go, I like to give modifications and choices. I'm going to get off of my rolling stool, and we're going to start on the chair today. So I just want to make sure we can see my feet. Okay, so when we start in the chair, we're going to remind you guys that we do knees directly over your ankles. So I'm showing you the side view. Your feet are going to be parallel in hip width. I'll show you that from the front in a second. You're going to roll your hips forward right here. The key is not to use your back muscles. We don't want that. We want to roll from our hips. When we do sitting exercises, it's a very common part of things. Again, feet are nice and parallel. I'm not too wide. I'm not wide like this. So grab your bed pillow or couch pillow. I put there, I roll my hips forward, kind of have my head level, chin level, and I'm squeezing and releasing. squeezing and releasing. Okay. So we are going to do about 40 to 60 of these. And just again, with anything, if it feels like a lot, you can just take a break after you've done a certain amount of repetitions. When we're doing this, we're trying to make sure we want our inner thighs working together. So sometimes you might feel one wants to kick in more than the other. So that's what we're paying attention to our bodies and feeling for differences. And again, in this case, if you felt one side working harder or more than the other, then you sort of back off your intensity of your squeeze and sort of let the other side catch up. So you can take a pause in between a set and reset your pelvis and then continue on. When we do things, we do them in sets just to make sure that the alignment is correct and good form. Good form with these exercises really kind of takes you the extra mile in terms of getting more out of them and balancing your muscles. So we're doing this, and kind of interesting, we're starting at the hips, and it has to do with the head position. This first about 8-9 exercises is sort of to balance things and allow the head to sit on the body a little bit better. Okay, now, next one, put your pillow down. We are going to do heel raises, but the key is we're actually trying to use our hips more. So same alignment, feet parallel, knees over ankles, roll your hips forward. Again, be mindful about not using your back. And then imagine sort of a string on your legs, and you're gonna raise up your heels up and down. So you could use a lot with your calves, but you don't wanna do that. You want to think about the work coming sort of from the legs and the hips, raising them, rather than it being just a calf exercise. So I recommend doing this sort of slow and controlled to sort of get this sensation that it's a very subtle sensation. It might take till we do some reps before you go, okay, I feel something happening up here. And we'll reset in a few more repetitions. And my arms are relaxed. They could be down by your sides. They can be maybe on the chair. I think with this one, I prefer not to have them sitting on my legs. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break for a second. I'm gonna let my pelvis go, and then I'm gonna roll forward again, and I'm gonna continue on. Now, again, if for some reason you have back pain, don't roll forward as much if it's aggravating it. As long as it's not bothering you, then it's the right position, you're good. Okay, we are doing this. So I'm concentrating on this motion and imagining sort of this just being nice and controlled, bringing my legs up. So we're going to be up and down, standing up and down a little bit after this one. And we're going to do one more reset of the pelvis and do this a third time. Drawing our heels up, but really trying to use our upper thighs. Okay. And hope everybody's feeling good today. Had a good week. We definitely have a weird things going on in the world, but taking care of your body and your health and your immune system is really paramount right now. So kudos to all of you for being here with me and doing these exercises. Okay. All right. So now we're going to stand up. Okay. So we're going to do some glute contractions, but we're going to turn our feet out to start. So a little bit out, not all the way out, just kind of a 45-degree angle, and just relax your shoulders down. Be mindful about stacking, and we're just working our glutes. The hands do not need to be there. It's just using those muscles and but just, if for some reason you're bent forward, just be mindful of how you're standing. And then let's go ahead and bring our feet more neutral. Feet are parallel by the outsides. Again, this is our center of our hip width down, and let's do a little bit more of our glute squeezes. As simple as this is, it is sort of isolating and waking up those muscles a bit. It's also helping our leg bones sort of rotate in the socket, and it helps things balance out, which affects our hips and our pelvis. So little subtle things that make a difference. Okay, so from here, we're going to go into an exercise that my class has done before, and I'm going to give you two versions, one that's on the floor and one that's up on your chair or your block. Just be safe with this exercise, choose what works for you. And I also am going to give you a sitting version just in case you're not feeling comfortable with what we're doing. So you can always just be in the chair and practice your holding of your anterior tilt. Your rolling forward and sort of shoulder blade squeezes would be just the gentle modification if you're not feeling good with this. Okay. So the full version of it is up on the block. I'm going to show you sort of the modified where we are hips over knees, shoulders over wrists, and then you're going to move a hand width forward, and you're going to glide forward, and then you drop your shoulder blades together and drop your head down. So that would be the floor version. And then this is, if you feel safe on your chair, and if you feel like this is good for you, if you have very severe back issues of sort, I would start just on your hands and knees. So see how I could start here, same concept, moving my hands, and so that I now am sort of, my knees and my hips are in a diagonal. I'm dropping my shoulder blades together, dropping my head. So I'm sort of, either way, I'm sort of getting manual distraction of my head. And my pelvis is sort of evening out, repositioning my upper back. Again, you can do this from the floor, hands and knees, and you walk those hands forward, and you just shift your weight. The idea is to have your shoulders directly over your wrists. So where I see problems sometimes is when we're like too far. Don't let that happen. That can be uncomfortable in the back. So sort of pay attention to the whole thing. And again, anything doesn't feel right into that chair, roll those hips forward, and shoulder blade squeezes. We'll still get parts of this exercise happening for you that will help with the alignment in general. Otherwise, my head is dropping. If you're comfortable, again, people sometimes can't tolerate that. So you have to listen to your body. I'm going to come out of this in a second. Okay, and so that is called static extension or static extension position. Okay, now we're going to move on to my little use of our towels. This is called wall towels. So you can roll this way. I prefer this length because you'll get sort of the roll you need, like this. And I find that typically we will need one a little thicker, and the way I tend to do it is I roll up one, and then I can roll up a little bit thicker and leave a tail so it doesn't get too thick. So sort of depending on your arches, you might need that fourth one. I have all these gadgets in the room with me to, okay. Now, I would have maybe used a second towel, so that's why I'm going to use my little prop. It's sort of that belly button place is where the center of your roll. So it's not as low as you would think. It's at belly button level and then sort of in the neck. And then my feet are parallel. If you do not have these hand towels handy, you can just stand with your back against the wall. Now, if you do have the towels, you're going to be a couple inches away. Your heels are going to be a couple inches away from the wall. So the idea is here, these our hip flexor muscles have to work to sort of hold us against the wall. And this is sort of recreating our natural spine curves. And we're going to stay here for a couple minutes just to let the muscles work. Now, if you're just we love standing with our back against the wall in general. Like I do use that as sort of a reset. If you are sitting a lot, it's a great place to take a break. Go stand with your back against the wall. This is just adding a little bit more work to it. And this is very much about trying to help that position of the head by getting the whole spine. We have natural curves and through the low back and then through our upper back and then into our neck. And we're just trying to help them find their natural positioning. And sometimes we need our hip muscles to sort of wake up. And they, from sitting and being in such a shortened sitting position all day, that's many of us, we need them to sort of wake up and work differently in a lengthened position. So we are just holding this here. I always like to share things that I've posted recently. I posted recently about a little helpful tip on a Mac, if you have a Mac, that you can go into the keyboard, the accessibility portion into dictation, and you can change it so you hit the function key twice. And in different documents, you can have your voice like Siri and it types for you, so you don't, if you had to type a lot, a long email or a letter or whatever you're sending, it's a way to be able to be a little bit more mobile, just like we are with our phones, and talk voice to text. So that's that. And so hopefully you're feeling this work. And again, if you're feeling any pain, then you need to change something that you're doing. There should be no pain with any of these exercises. Totally okay to feel work, and but not pain. That is our goal. Our goal is to feel really good after this class, feel many times energized, and feel balanced and ready to sort of take on the activities and tasks that you want to do. Okay, we're going to come out of that position. Okay, so we're going to go back into our chair. We're going to do a quick set of knee pillow squeezes and some shoulder blade squeezes. So I'm going to bring back my chair, bring back my yoga block or your pillow, and we are going to sit. I don't like when I chop off my feet. Okay, so we're back to knees over ankles. Same thing. You're gonna roll your hips forward again, being mindful that it's not from your back. Pillow between your knees. And we're gonna just do a quick one set of these. It's all about cueing up the different muscles in our hips and our pelvis, evening them out, and just getting balance, retraining muscles. Sometimes they're firing all the time and staying in sort of a contracted state. And they also need to know how to turn on and turn off. So that's a lot of what we're doing in this class versus another exercise class that you might do that's really just trying to stretch and strengthen. So just different goals using very similar movements and exercises. Okay, we're going to take that out and we're going to do some shoulder blade squeezes. We call them scapular contractions. So again, everything stays the same. Feet are parallel on the outside. Roll those hips forward, and then we're gonna just draw our shoulder blades together and then let them go. So right in the back, it's like this. Draw them together and let go. And I'm gonna just turn around for a second so you can sort of see what's happening in the back. Now, I do have a bit of a curve. So if something doesn't look exactly even on me, that is just part of my natural. I mean, I've worked a lot on my alignment and I feel really good. And so, but just pointing out when you're watching a certain body for something, good to know what you're looking at. And let's just do one more where we reset our pelvis. So this is important. Some people, it's just really easy for you to go back, and other people, you're sort of jacked up. So this is a good time to sort of let it go for a second and then roll back up. And just even that motion itself is helping to mobilize the pelvis. We need the pelvis to go in both directions. So if you're stuck in either way, the idea is to get more balance and to be able to sort of hold the in-between. So we're doing the last few shoulder blade squeezes. Okay, so this next exercise, I'm going to give you a couple options. Again, this comes back to safety. We're going to do air bench, but you have to have the right environment to do air bench, meaning you could have sneakers on if you need to. It depends on the type of floor you're on. For me, I have bare feet and a yoga mat, and that will work for me. So I'm going to be going into air bench like this. But for anybody who feels like they're sliding, you can always just go into a sort of a squat with your butt back instead. You could go back to knee pillow squeezes. Just be very mindful. If you go down low, you're using your hands to help you get out. So again, I find people who have a lot of knee pain or they feel uncomfortable with this, just don't go down as low and you can go to here. But otherwise, we're walking our feet out. We're going, it's really about 105 degrees, close to 90, but it doesn't have to be all the way. Just finding my gripping here. And then I'm pressing my back into the wall. And so my head does not have to touch the wall. My weight is actually in the heels if you can, which allows my toes to sort of raise up. That does, I feel like, take sometimes a little bit of practice. Now, we'd like to stay in this a minute or 2 minutes. 20 seconds is still great. So if you quickly do this and you got to get out, so a great place to start. It still sort of activates what needs to activate. So this is one that we grow with. We haven't used this a whole lot in my regular class, only because I'm not with everybody. I do like to make sure everybody's safe. So just be mindful when doing it. And that is that. And just so to kind of go over where we're at, this is the last one in our sort of TMJ or head position sequence that is in the Pain-Free book by Egoscue. And so I'm going to go ahead and come out. Okay, so that gives you a sense. One thing that you can do as a check right now, we didn't check it in the beginning, but it's good to see how easily your head touches the wall, because that would mean it's a little more in line with your body. So if you have to force it onto the wall, then you know you really need to work on your forward head. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to do standing windmill. And so you can have a wall. If you don't have a wall, it's no problem. You just are in the middle of the room and we're going to work without a wall. Okay, because we kind of need arm space and moving wide, but not everybody has that type of space when they're doing their exercises. So heels against the wall if you can comfortably, if not a little bit away. Arms are out to the side, palms are facing out. Shoulder issues, just lower your arms. and then we're going to bend side to side. Now here's the key to this one, keeping your hips stable. My head and my arm distance is staying the same. My hair clip's just dragging on the wall a little bit. And we're just going about 5 times to each side, but just notice the movement is really happening through my trunk. It's not an arm movement. I'm not shifting my hips out to the side. So it's sort of a stability with our hips. And then we then go to about a foot wide. And again, you're keeping those feet parallel. So we're not turning our feet out, put my arms back out to the side, and sort of be active with your hands. And then we go, and we're nice and controlled. So it's meant to be sort of a working motion, not kind of saggy arms. We're active. That just engages things a little bit more. Again, you lower the arms if you need to because of shoulder and symptoms or anything that bothers you. Okay, we're gonna go about 2 feet wide now. So again, now you really pay attention to those feet being parallel, hands out to the side, and we're going to go side to side bending. Active hands, gliding. Again, remember the distance is not changing between the head and your arms. My hips are not moving, but we're sort of evening things out, sort of this lengthening through our sides. So then we come back to neutral. We do it one more time in the neutral position. Sort of the hip width. And sometimes people will find some ease after we've done the other ones as you come back, or possibly more feeling more even. And okay. We are going to toe raises, something I wanted to do. We're gonna do 1 round of toe raises holding on to the wall. Then in a couple exercises, we're gonna do toe raises more without the wall or more of in a balanced perspective. Okay, so toe raises is, and I don't know why it says toe raises because really you're raising your heel. That's just the name of the Egoscue exercise. So this is what I'm gonna look like. And I always like to show you, we're gonna do it in neutral, then we're gonna do it with our feet turned out a little bit, heels not touching, and then the reverse. Toes will touch and the heels are out. And so I'm going to turn, and you're trying to think about yourself really stacked up high. In this particular exercise, we want to hold on to the wall so that we can sort of load evenly and control where our posture is. We're going to later do it more from a balance perspective. So I'm doing about 10. Again, if you feel like this is a little challenging, you could do 5 of each position rather than 10 or 7. I just like, those are always ways you can modify things that we are doing. I'm going to turn my feet out. If you are counting with me, as I talk, I don't count exact. So it's about 10. So that's just how I roll, trying to keep everybody cued and making sure we have good form. Okay, now I'm going to turn my toes in and my heels out. And again, so we're sort of repositioning the leg in the hip while we do this work. That's why we're not just doing just your neutral heel raises. We're also looking at the stacking and loading of the joints and what our hip position is doing. So that is what we're working from. Okay, we are going to do a little bit of a rotational exercise here. And I'm going to demo. It's actually could be holding onto a door, but we're not going to use the door. We're going to go, this is what it's going to look like. So if for some reason this isn't comfortable, you could sit in a chair and do a slight rotation. you know, if that bothers your knees, to bend down. So I'm bending down like this. My feet are a little bit wider than our normal hip width. And then I'm going to put one hand across on the opposite knee, put the other hand behind the back, kind of like this, and then I'll turn. If you have a shoulder issue, you could put your hand more on your hip or rest it down if that does not feel right. And so then I'm just rotating. The key here is I'm not trying to let my knee pass. So I'm trying to stay stable and just rotate what I can while my hips are working in sort of staying stabilizing here. So that is sort of the key to this one. But that happens even if you're sitting in a chair and do a chair twist. So we always have these nice modifications. I'm gonna do a quick little demo. That's what that would look like. Okay, so I'm bending down again. I'm putting my hand on the opposite knee, hand behind my back. Modify if you have a shoulder issue. I tend to say do exactly the same thing on both sides to sort of help your body stay even rather than going really far on one side and not on the other. And again, this is work in our legs. So again, that's why I say we've got the chair version if that just feels better for you, to remember to meet your body where it is at. You're going to feel so much better with this alignment type work and be able to do the things you want to do if you listen to your body. Standing cross crawling. So this is where we're going to get a little into balance. We're going to do sort of this motion. So what I recommend if you feel like you have balance issues is number one, get near a wall, near a chair, so you've got something to hold on to. You could just do some leg work. You could hold on and do that and practice your balance. If you feel good, we're doing this, but we are not like bending in. We're sort of just getting the opposite sides working and having to load. So we do this on the floor. Okay, I lost my balance a little there, that side. So it's good to sort of take your time and see how you're loading on each side. If you find it's difficult, grip the ground with your foot and really try and engage the side that you're trying to stand on. So take your time and just work on your balance a little. Again, in these classes, we're you know, hitting so many different things, but I feel like having overall balance is just so beneficial. Prevent falls, you can catch yourself easier, allows you to move around better. Okay. It's funny, on my timing today, I think I got a little ambitious on the exercises, the amount of exercise we were getting in today. Okay, so now let's do one more set of heel raises. Now I can do this in the middle of the room. So I'm going to do my set without holding on more from the balance perspective. You could, again, go back to the wall if that doesn't feel right to you. And so again, I'm trying to control, my ankles want to go out, so I'm trying to control that. And so I'm just practicing the control. So even if I don't do 10 all at once, I'm going to go through each position a little so we can sort of see how the stability is. This is probably going to feel a little more secure, but if your legs already turn out a lot, it's not like you need a lot of this position in particular. And then I'm going to go toes in and go up. And I feel like I have to sort of recruit more muscles as I do this. So. And I get a little quiet sometimes when I'm concentrating to see what's happening, feel it, make sure I can stay balanced. Okay. So I've done a few of each. So we're gonna go ahead and go down. So again, I feel like we've gotten what I wanted was some balance challenges in. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to sort of a modified counter stretch where we're kneeling, but stay up standing because in case you need this modification. So this is sort of where we're going to. This could be it. I actually am going to show you with a yoga block this way. But if you're not comfortable being on your knees and that feels too stressful, you can be a little more controlled with sort of a wall stretch like this. And if none of that feels good to you, the sort of bending forward, you can just reach your arms overhead like a clasped hand and just reach up and over and get all of this length. So I feel like we've got some good options. And so if you're going for the full expression of what I'm aiming for, this is sort of it. So part of it is the lengthening through here. If you're able to put your pillow between your hands, it's kind of like this. You can get a little bit extra out of this. But again, you can also just be here and be a little more relaxed. And we're still got some pelvis things happening, upper back happening. So there's just a lot that we can get out of in this position. And I'm just checking and making sure. So as I go down, I'm trying to lengthen my upper back. This really helps sort of in my armpits and my lat muscles, the lengthening happening there, which sometimes can get really tight. And I find as long as this feels okay to a shoulder, if you're at a point with your shoulders or your neck, this can sort of unlock a little bit of the tightness that sort of restricts our shoulder motion. Okay, from here we're going to go to a cats and dogs. So that would be hands and knees. And again, you can go to a sitting in a chair, cats and dogs, if you don't feel good on your hands and knees. So we are going down, hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. And then we sink our pelvis down, our belly down, and draw our shoulder blades together. Head goes up as long as it feels comfortable to move your head and your neck. And then you're gonna round and go the other way. Again, I find some people, if they need to, they keep their head more stable, but certainly if you can, I recommend moving the neck. If it feels good to do it, we want the full expression of the exercise. So I'm rounding here, everything, that one's easy. As we move, leading with the pelvis, draw the shoulder blades down and back, make sure we're not tensing up in our upper traps, and look forward. And again, this is about 10 or so times. Sort of depends on when we're using it, how many times. So we're just sort of neutralizing things a bit, especially when we did that balance work. Sometimes you might still, because we're a little bit off, that might throw things off. So this sort of like brings everything back together. Okay, so now sitting on the floor, this is where we're going to go to next. And we're going to be rotating. If you need to, you can lie on the floor, bend one leg, and just rotate one leg. If for some reason putting your weight on your wrist like this, or you feel so tight in your hamstrings that you can't sit up tall, you can, again, lie on your back, bend one knee, and just do rotating one leg at a time and alternate back and forth. But if you're with me, again, I'm going to show you from the side view. I'm sort of rolling, doing that same engagement, and then I'm rolling in and out with tightening my thighs, pulling my toes back towards me evenly, trying not to pull more in with the toes or something. This helps the kinetic chain from the ankle, knee, and the hip, everything working together. which we need that when we are walking and standing and doing all different things. So that's what we're sort of re-educating here. And so we'll do some repetitions back and forth, and we're going to go to 3 positions with our feet moving wide. So let's go to our second position. And again, if you're lying flat, you're just going to about 15 or so. You'll do one leg and then you bend your knee and then you switch sides, and you can just do it a couple times back and forth. And again, same thing. You're tightening that down thigh. You're pulling your feet back, engaging all the toes together, not leading with just the pinky or the big toe. And having hip rotation is very important for the health of our hips. Now, if somebody already has a degenerative hip and has been told that already, that you have a lot of arthritis or that you could have a hip replacement already, things like this could be aggravating. So you have to modify and sort of listen to your body. But if not, we are definitely trying to prevent getting into that position, which is what we would like. Keep our hips healthy. We'd like to keep as many joints as we can as we get older. That just would be nice. So all right. We really did not do a lot of laying down today. Okay, so now let's go. Deciding what we're fitting in on my list. Let us go onto our stomachs. Now, if you are not comfortable on your stomach, you can lie on your back and you can do your knee pillow squeezes. If you had a yoga strap, you could pull out on the strap, but we're going to go down on our stomachs, and I'm putting my hands underneath my forehead. If you have shoulder issues, you could have your arms down. Go with what's comfortable. I really prefer not the turning of the head as much as you can. And we are going to tuck the pelvis under. So sort of tuck under, and then we're going to bend one leg and put it back, and bend one leg and bring it back. And we're going to hold that pelvis tucked under, and then when we switch sides, we'll sort of let it go and reset. And then if you didn't have your yoga block nearby, we are going to use that next. Okay, so we're going to switch sides. And so I'm going to reset my pelvis. I'm going to tuck under, and now I'm going to bend on the other side. Now, if you're getting a hamstring cramp, that is okay. If you need to take a break, take a break. That happens a lot of times because we don't always use our hamstrings the way they're intended to. And sometimes we'll get cramps in our feet or our hamstrings when something's sort of waking up that hasn't been used a certain way. So just kind of alerting you to that, because sometimes cramps just happen in common exercises. So, okay. So what I would like to do, if you don't have your yoga block, you can continue with another set. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to put the yoga block between, or your pillow, between your feet, and then we're going to squeeze it. So it's going to be a little hip stabilizing again. And it is still ankle stabilizing too. Sort of engages the foot, but it also engages the hips. So it's sort of a squeeze and release, but not enough release to have the block fall. So got to kind of get control of that. And I did just switch which hand was on top. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that with my hand positions, sort of switch them, which is sort of on top, and just to keep
things from always going the same way that is sort of the comfortable way. Okay. All right, now, one more in this position is we're going to bend our knees and sort of draw our knees into the ground. So again, this is sort of working the front of our hips as you try to draw your knees into the ground. If this doesn't feel right to you in any way, you can continue on with the squeezes or the hamstring bending of the leg, or you can just even lie on your stomach and stay here with your legs down. That is still a good position for all of us who sit and stay bent over looking at phones. This still is allowing our bodies to sort of stretch out. I do recommend, if you never lie on your stomach, but you can, do feel like it is something to sort of keep the body's ability to do that. Not necessarily recommending sleeping on your stomach, because if you sleep on your stomach, sometimes your head stays to one side for a really long time, for many hours, and I feel like that can really create muscle imbalance in the neck. Okay. We are going to push back to this position, sort of our child's pose, but we're going to go to the elevated child's pose like this. So normal child's pose is here, but we're going to go elevated. Now, if your shoulders are bothering you, bend your elbows and sort of go here. Otherwise, you're sort of reaching, pressing down, lengthening the upper back. We're again working on those hips right here. And we're just holding a moment. And we're going to go back to one more round of cats and dogs. And again, if you're not feeling it on your hands and knees, then you can go back to the chair and do that on the chair. Sitting in the chair, you can sort of round and move your pelvis back and forth. Is still a great alternative. So hips over knees, shoulders over wrists, and we're just gonna go back and forth. Draw the shoulder blades together and head looks up. And again, you're leaving your head in neutral if you need to. And today's class, we just kind of did things a little differently and didn't incorporate a lot of lying on our back, but it's just amazing all the different ways we can work on balancing our body out. Okay, now we are going to go to, we've been working on this the last couple of weeks where we've been holding the pillow and having our hips work. Now, two options. This could be your chair, or you can lie flat. So what we did was, and we have to hold this for a few minutes. So it could look like this. What we talked about last time is if you are hyperextending your knees a lot, then you would want to just do the same thing lying on the ground. I'm going to go over the specifics of it once you kind of get your choice of position. So this is one way. The reason for the legs up on the chair is if your pelvis is really uneven, it's a little more tolerated with your legs up. However, again, if for some reason it bothers you to have your legs up or the knee hyperextension, those are reasons. And now let's talk about the key to this. The key to this is to try and let our quads relax. So we engage our feet, pulling them back. So they're dorsiflexion, so not there. Engage them, but trying to let our thighs go. Eventually what happens is we get some work in our hips up here. So now, if you are not comfortable in this position at all, you could just put your legs up on the chair, 90-90, and just let gravity work on you. And so I'm just demonstrating that sort of would be like putting your legs up on a chair like this. That is a great alternate position. You can always just sit in a chair and sort of practice holding your posture up. But we are trying to let our quads go. I'm going to keep reminding you of that. Pulling our feet back. And then we're just going to let some minutes pass here. So we've done this a couple times. We didn't have class last week because I was away, dropping my daughter off at college, which was crazy, but very exciting. And but these past few classes that we've done this. And so I want us to have a few more times periodically for everyone to try it and see how it goes as they sort of get a little more comfortable with it. And again, it's good for me because I find this is hard to motivate myself alone. You have to have patience with this. Sort of trying to let those quads go and just be there. And something else to sort of share with you as I'm trying to let my quads go is on Instagram. I think in the past week or so, I had posted a really beautiful pictures of some water, I don't even know, a river and sort of mountainous views and things. My assistant Shayna, who's now off to PT school, went on a nice vacation to Arizona. And I just absolutely love out west, all the national parks and things. And I do sort of aspire to hike more, relax your quads, just a reminder. And so it just was sort of like a motivational thing for me. So as I keep aligning, I look forward to vacations where I can hike more. And, 10 years ago, I was at a point where my foot bothered me so much that I was limping. And so I really didn't walk my dogs, and I rode the bike at the gym instead of, walking on the treadmill or just walks outside. And I do so much more of that now that I've worked on my feet, worked on my alignment. So that's sort of just like goals and aspirations. So really age isn't what it's all about. It's having your body more functional and your joints working well, your muscles working well. So those are just nice motivational things for me, as I'm not a daredevil. I like things sort of safe, but I love outside and beautiful views. And we're trying to relax those quads. So we've been at this a few minutes already. I feel like maybe a little happening here, not a lot yet, but trying to let my thighs go. If your legs are elevated, try to let your butt sink into the ground. I feel like that kind of helped me let go a little bit by sort of sinking into the ground. And so the last thing we do, we're not done yet, but I'm just keeping everybody in the loop. Last thing we always do is a meditation. We do a couple minutes of meditation. And so commonly we're lying on our backs with our legs up on the chair, or you could be sitting in the chair. It's like Shavasana in yoga. And I have done a lot of yoga. I do love it. I do feel like the work is kicking in here. I'm trying to settle myself into the ground, let my thighs go, making sure my feet are engaged. And again, the key to this is that when we're more upright, that just the right muscles are engaging differently. Sometimes our quads or our inner thighs are overpowering or doing more than possibly our hips stabilizing need to do, and it affects how we walk and Then sometimes we get shoulder and neck tension because our shoulders and hold us up because our hips aren't doing everything that they can. So it kind of can translate, it can help no matter whether there's something going on the foot, knee, or neck, shoulders. And so that's why I like to see how we respond to this exercise. And sort of, again, reminder, let those quads go, sink your butt into the floor, and just normal to feel sort of work and burning, not burning pain, just that work sensation and happening. Okay, I feel like we got it. I feel like we did a good 5-6 or so minutes of that. Okay, so close your eyes. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale it out. Sort of sink your body into the floor and relax your shoulders. Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. We're sort of just trying to let everything go. Soften your eyelids. Take another deep inhale. Exhale it out. Soften your jaw. Tongue on the roof. Teeth slightly open. And you're just gonna relax. Let the thoughts pass by. If you catch yourself thinking of something, just go back to the breath. Let's just connect back in. And sort of draw circles with your ankles. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale it out. And you're going to take your time. You'll roll to your right side. You'll slowly bring yourself back to